Hello and welcome. If you want to learn how to stay healthy, both mentally and physically, make sure to subscribe and smash that like button. It tells YouTube that you enjoy the content and helps our community grow. There is a silent danger that creeps up on us as the years go by. It is not a disease you can catch from a stranger. It is not something you can cure with a simple pill from the pharmacy. It is a refusal to adapt. If you continue to live exactly as you did 10 years ago, you are putting your system under a strain it can no longer handle. I have seen it happen too many times. People who ignore the shifting tides of their own biology often find themselves exhausted, broken, and ultimately facing a much shorter timeline than they deserve. It sounds harsh, but the reality is that those who do not embrace the changes I'm about to explain often do not live long enough to enjoy the peace that should come with age. They fight a battle against their own nature, and it is a battle they are destined to lose. This lecture is not about medical conditions or complex diagnoses that require a hospital visit. It is about the fundamental, inevitable shifts that happen to every single human being once they cross the milestone of 80 years old. We are going to explore the 5 specific changes that will occur, whether you are prepared for them or not. These are universal truths, the new rules of engagement for your body and mind. If you are approaching this age, or if you are already there, you have likely noticed that life does not just continue on a flat line. The road curves, the terrain changes. We are going to talk about energy, sleep, people, time, and the strange new ways your brain begins to work. You need to understand this because fighting it accelerates aging, while accepting it is the key to vitality. Please stay with me until the very end of this discussion. The first 4 changes might seem challenging, perhaps even a little worrying, but the 5th change is different. The 5th change is the most liberating thing that can happen to a human being, and if you leave early, you will miss the best news about getting older. Let us begin with the foundation of your existence, which is your energy and your relationship with the night. When you turn 80, the way you sleep and the way you burn energy undergoes a complete transformation. It is unlike anything you have experienced in your 60s or 70s. You might think you were just getting tired, but that is not the full story. Your internal clock, the circadian rhythm that has guided you for decades, shifts backward. It is as if your body decides to reset its time zone. You will find yourself naturally wanting to close your eyes around 8 or 9 in the evening. Consequently, your eyes will snap open at 5 or 6 in the morning, sometimes even earlier. Many people panic when this happens. They lie in bed in the pre-dawn darkness, staring at the ceiling, wondering what is wrong with them. They worry they have insomnia. They worry they're losing their health. But here's the truth. Nothing is broken. Your body is simply moving to a more efficient schedule for this stage of life. Your energy peaks are now in the morning. That's when your mind is sharpest, when your hands are steadiest, and when your mood is brightest. Then there's a significant dip in the afternoon, usually around 2 o'clock. This is much deeper than the afternoon slump you might have felt in your 40s. I want you to think of your body like a vintage car. A vintage car is beautiful and valuable, but you cannot drive it at top speed for 12 hours straight like a modern sports car. If you try to force that engine to run hot late into the night, you'll blow a gasket. I knew a woman named Lucille, a retired teacher, who made this mistake. She fought her new rhythm for 2 years. She forced herself to stay up late to watch television shows she didn't even like, just to prove she could. She was miserable, exhausted, and her health began to suffer because she was constantly flooded with stress hormones from fighting sleep. When she finally accepted that her body wanted to rest early, she changed her life. She started doing her reading and her exercise at dawn. She rested in the afternoon without guilt. Suddenly, she had more energy than she had felt in a decade. You must stop fighting the current and learn to swim with it. Now, as we move to the second major shift, I want to take a brief moment to ask you something. We are building a community here of people who want to age with wisdom and strength. If you are finding value in this explanation, if you want to understand the map of your own life better, please take a second to click the subscribe button and like this video. It helps us find other people who need to hear this message, and it ensures you won't miss the important health insights we share. Thank you for being part of this. The second change is about your social world, and this is where things can get emotional. When you reach 80, your social circle does not just shrink, it evolves. It is a natural pruning process, similar to how a gardener trims a tree to keep it healthy. You might notice that your tolerance for superficial conversations disappears almost entirely. You no longer have the patience to sit through dinners with people who do not truly know you or understand you. You might find that old friendships fade away, not because of an argument, but because the connection simply isn't there anymore. This can feel lonely if you do not understand its purpose. Your brain is trying to protect your emotional energy. Emotional energy is a finite resource, and at 80, your biology demands that you invest it only in places where you get a return. You are drawn to authenticity. You might find a new friend who is vastly different from your old crowd, perhaps someone you met at a library or a park, simply because they are real and honest. Think of Eugene, a man who felt lost when his poker group fell apart. He thought his social life was over, but when he started volunteering, he met people who shared his current purpose, not just his past history. He found that one meaningful conversation with a true friend was worth more than 100 shallow chats at a cocktail party. This is not isolation, it is optimization. Your heart is getting smarter about who it lets in. This leads us directly into the third change, which is a radical shift in how you view time and priorities. This is a matter of physical health as much as mental health. Stress is the silent killer of the elderly, and nothing generates stress like trying to fulfill obligations that no longer matter. At 80, you experience a time perspective shift. You realize in a very physical way that time is not infinite. This realization does not bring fear. Surprisingly, it brings clarity. All those things you used to worry about, what the neighbors think, whether your house is perfectly decorated, whether you attended every single committee meeting, suddenly they look ridiculous. You start saying no. And let me tell you, saying no is one of the healthiest things you can do for your blood pressure. It is like dropping a heavy backpack you've been carrying for 40 years. You stand up straighter, you breathe easier. Consider Ruby, who spent 40 years running church committees until she was exhausted. At 83, she quit. She just stopped. She went to her garden instead. Her family worried she was giving up on life, but in reality, she was choosing life. She was choosing the activities that fed her soul and discarding the ones that drained her battery. By removing the clutter of unnecessary obligations, she reduced her cortisol levels and improved her heart health. You must learn to look at your calendar and ruthlessly cross out anything that does not bring you joy or peace. This is not being selfish, it is being a survivor. Now, we must discuss the fourth change, which often frightens people the most, the change in memory and thinking. We live in a society that is obsessed with speed. We think that if you cannot remember a name in 2 seconds, you are declining. But at 80, your brain is doing something magnificent. It is trading speed for wisdom. Imagine a library. When you were 20, the library is small, with only a few books. The librarian can run and fetch a book instantly because there isn't much to search through. But when you are 80, your internal library is massive. It is filled with millions of experiences, faces, facts, and emotions. When you try to recall a name, the librarian in your head has to walk down miles of aisles to find it. It takes a little longer. That is not a failure. That is a sign of richness. You might struggle with short-term details. You might walk into a room and forget why you were there. We all do it. But what you gain is pattern recognition. You can look at a complex situation, a family dispute, a financial decision, a political problem, and see the solution instantly because you have seen the pattern before. You have crystallized wisdom. You are no longer a high-speed processor. You are a deep-learning supercomputer. Do not be like the man who gets angry because he cannot memorize a grocery list. Write the list down. Externalize the small stuff so your brain is free to do the big work. Your mind is specialized for insight now, not for rote memorization. Accept this trade. It is a good trade. You are becoming the elder of the tribe, the one who knows why things happen, even if you sometimes forget when they happened. And finally, we arrive at the fifth change. This is the one I promised you, the one that makes all the other challenges worth it. It is the arrival of true, unshakable authenticity. It is a profound sense of freedom. For most of your life, you have worn masks. You wore a mask for your boss, for your parents, for your neighbors, perhaps even for your spouse. You acted the way you were expected to act. You suppressed your true opinions. You hid your quirks. But at 80, the glue that holds those masks to your face dissolves. The part of the brain that worries about social judgment relaxes. You suddenly find that you simply do not care what people think of you anymore. And this is a glorious feeling. It is the most liberating moment of a human life. You might start wearing colors you were told were too bright. You might start painting, or singing, or speaking your mind about politics or religion with an honesty that shocks people. Think of Constance, the minister's wife, who spent a lifetime being quiet and proper. At 82, she started painting wild, abstract art and telling her grandchildren exactly what she thought about the world. She didn't become mean, she became real, and her family loved her more for it because finally they were meeting the real person. This authenticity is the best medicine for your spirit. It eliminates the chronic stress of pretending. It allows you to breathe fully. When you stop performing for an audience, you can finally start living for yourself. This is the gift of age. It is the reward for surviving 8 decades. You finally get to be you. So, do not fear the number 80. Do not fear the early bedtime or the smaller circle of friends. Do not fear the slower memory or the shift in priorities. These are not signs of the end. They are the shedding of a skin that no longer fits. You are evolving into a new form, one that is designed for wisdom, for essential connections, and for absolute freedom. I want to leave you with one fascinating fact to think about. Researchers have discovered something called the U-bend of happiness. Studies show that human happiness tends to hit its lowest point in our 40s and 50s, when we are crushed by stress and responsibilities. But then, the line goes up. It keeps going up. Statistically, people in their 80s are often happier and more content than people in their 20s. You are not heading into the dark. You are heading toward the peak of your happiness. Embrace these changes, listen to your body, and enjoy the freedom you have earned.